Instead of using he, it used the word she. These guys are taking us for fools.
Madlanga Ward.
The wrong people signed it and they stamped it with the wrong stamps. But all of these guys are postponing their testimony. And they're using whatever trick it's at their disposal with a huge amount of legal representation. They're using every trick in the book to avoid testifying.
This is the political show.
Hey, and welcome to the Political Show right here on Active FM, where radio has never been better. I'm your girl Cynthia, but you can call me Gix, and with me in studio we have
Gavin Ensland.
Pastor Gavin Ensland, right here on the Political Show, where Christ politics is
Hot politics.
Hot politics. And this week's Hot Politics, we are looking at the Madlanga Commission. And I mean, we've got people in
aren't we looking at the new hospital? Maybe it's going to be part of NHR, the Madlanga Ward.
Yeah.
Where all the people that are supposed to testify are being rushed to hospital.
All of a sudden,
on the day that they're supposed to testify, they're in hospital.
Yeah. So that is what we're going to be looking at. Like, who is in hospital? There's been some sightings of somebody who's supposed to be too sick to appear in front of the commission, and there has been another postponement in terms of a hearing. We're just going to look a bit into that. Pastor Gav, do you want to give a more brief explanation? Well,
actually, this past week, first of all, we already know from the past, Suleiman Karim, he's got, I don't know, hypertension or heart attack or something. Then there's, I can't remember that white guy's name. You know, the one that had the cash. That he's telling the guy, it's a bit hot here, but this cash is a bit stiff, so let me try this one. Hey, my brother, there's lots of money to be made, hey? Give me a call. You know, that guy.
Yeah.
He had anxiety attacks. Then Feroz Khan apparently was shot.
Yeah.
He was shot in his vehicle without the bullets leaving any holes in the vehicle, but left a hole in him. They left him alive. So that doesn't seem to happen to other people that get killed, that have testified the Madlanga Commission. And then this past week, can't remember now, it was either Monday or Tuesday, Andrea Johnson, the head of IDEC, who is thick in all these messages with Feroz Khan, Julius Malema, that what's that guy's name? I can't remember I think it's Y. Name starts with a Y. I can't remember his name now. You know, and also then dockets that were raised against General Kumalo, who's on trial, and you know, there's a General Pariachi that they were questioning, but Johnson was supposed to appear this week, and the next thing, our lawyers are sitting there saying she's being rushed to hospital as we speak. And then there was another request for postponement from the lawyers of Mr. Suleiman Karim. And let's just say there were some whistleblower reports that came out indicating that he might not quite be as sick as what they're making out.
Yes, it's going to be an interesting show, as always, right here on the Political Show, where Christ politics is
Hot politics.
Hot politics.
This collection marks a pivotal shift for Preach Closet. Moving from heavy graphic prints to a refined minimalist aesthetic. It draws from Ezekiel 37, where the prophet speaks over dry bones, and they rise into a vast army. This collection explores restoration and structure. Just as the bones were brought together with sinew and flesh, forming a body, each garment is built with intention. The cut, the silhouette, the fabric, letting the body of the clothing speak for itself.
So let us look firstly at Mr. Suleiman Karim. So he requested a postponement of his...
So, if my face looks a bit red in this this episode, I'm actually boiling now over this issue.
Yes.
These guys are taking us for fools.
Yeah, they are. But if you look, so he requested a postponement based on medical incapacity. So he can't appear in front of the commission because he's unwell, and he's also been admitted to the Madlanga Ward. Madlanga Ward. And stuff, but the commission revealed that it had received multiple whistleblower reports alleging.
Late in the afternoon yesterday, we received 2 different whistleblower reports, both confirming that Mr. Karim and an entourage had been seen yesterday going out for lunch at a shopping centre in the Western Cape.
Mr. Suleiman Karim had recently been seen shopping. He dined at the restaurant, and they more specifically said Woolworths. Woolworths! Your name is coming up a lot, I'm joking.
Yeah, first it's the Woolworths bags.
Yeah.
The Madlanga Woolworths Commission.
Yeah. But so he had been seen shopping. He was dining at a restaurant. He attended social gatherings. He traveled between provinces. I mean, he can do all of these things, but he can't appear before the commission because he's just so sick. And the commission intends on subpoenaing the CCTV footage of him being seen at the Woolworths and at the restaurants. They have also asked for very intensive hospital and medical records with regards his medical incapacity and the reason why he cannot appear before the commission. And then something was also added in that they want the travel records as well. How did he obtain the travel? How were the travel arrangements made in terms of when he traveled? Was it? I could be mistaken. Was it in Mpumalanga? Did they mention the province?
No, Cape Town.
Cape Town. Yes.
Woolworths in Cape Town.
Yes. They've asked that, they find out how the arrangements were made for
so
that.
They also said that he attended social gatherings in the Northwest.
Yes, it was the Northwest, the travel arrangements for
no.
How he boarded the plane, how he got his plane tickets and all of these things.
Yeah, they were asking that, but what I mean is he's been seen at social gatherings in the Northwest province.
Yes.
In addition to that, eyewitnesses said that, they got the evidence leaders got a report that Mr. Karim was seen at a shopping centre in the Western Cape.
Mm-hmm.
At a Woolworths, and I think they were, because at Woolworths you can eat and drink and have coffee and whatever. And this has been corroborated by 2 other eyewitnesses. So these are independent reports that this guy is a socialite. It's actually very, very similar to, the ex-president. And those people, I want to say directly, if you support MK. When Jacob Zuma became the president, there was a guy named Shabir Sheikh. By the way, Gigs, also a Muslim, eh? Also a Muslim. Guys, just listen to all of our shows. We're telling you, there's so much of the money behind this corruption is coming from Muslims. You guys need to have a look at that, eh? And anyway, so Shabir Sheikh was sentenced to 15 years imprisonment because a judge named Hilary Squires declared after a trial that the relationship between himself, Shabir Sheikh, and Jacob Zuma was generally corrupt. And so he was sentenced to 15 years in prison for that. After Jacob Zuma became the president, they then said that Shabir Sheikh is being released from prison because he's, ill to the point of terminally ill. They said with hypertension. They even had a thing where an ambulance stopped at his house and they wheeled him out on a bed with machines all over the place and stuff like that. And then like a month later, there was a report that he had a fight with someone at the golf course. And then there was a report another month later that he had a fight with someone over a parking spot outside the mosque, one Friday. So this is exactly the same kind of thing as Mr. Karim is doing. And he's saying he's incapacitated because obviously the evidence that, that needs to be answered at the Madlanga Commission is very incriminating.
Yeah.
And so he's just avoiding the whole thing by claiming, that he's like deadly sick.
Yeah. And then with regards to his legal team, they are arguing that there's confidential medical reports that already justify the postponement.
But I mean, how can you even say that
Yeah.
when you've got eyewitness accounts that the guy's at a shopping centre in Cape Town or in the Western, not necessarily Cape Town, sorry, in the Western Cape, which is the province where Cape Town is.
They also argue that the allegations were introduced without sufficient notice and that proper legal procedures should be followed before relying on the whistleblower claims.
Gigza, how do you feel about that? Because, I mean, they gave this evidence on Wednesday and they were requesting a hearing on this on today, Friday. And he was seen at the shopping centre on Tuesday in the Western Cape.
Yeah. And I mean,
he's too sick to appear before Madlanga, but he's able to be seen by multiple people at a Western Cape shopping centre and at the Woolworths there, and at the Woolworths restaurant pot there.
The commission instructed Karim to submit a comprehensive postponement application addressing both his medical condition and the new allegations before a ruling is made with regards to that. Then when we turn over to the latest patient in the Madlanga Ward,
The latest patient.
we've got Advocate Andrea.
You know what? I'm a patient because I'm losing patience.
But we've got Advocate Andrea Johnson. She's the head, like Pastor Gavin mentioned in the intro, she's the IDAC head advocate, Andrea Johnson, and she was due to testify before the Madlanga Commission. She was rushed to hospital the morning of her scheduled testimony, and her legal representative submitted a medical certificate booking her off until the 15th of July. Okay, so the Justice Madlanga criticized the medical certificate, describing it as lacking sufficient detail to justify the postponement. Johnson's evidence concerns allegations involving Major General Feroz Khan and could not proceed without her oral testimony. So no placement witness was available, resulting in another delay for the commission in this case.
Commissioners, for the record, the next witness for appearance today was scheduled to be Advocate Andrea Johnson. She unfortunately will not be available today to testify, and her counsel is ready to address the commission on the circumstances leading to this.
So what are your thoughts on that with Andrea Johnson?
I've been very impressed up until now with the Madlanga Commission. But I am getting increasingly frustrated with the manner in which people that are loyal to the hilt, that are obviously excessively rich, are able to just postpone cases when they are guilty. And it's obvious that they're guilty. I mean, the whole thing in terms of all of these cases and things is, what is the reasonable man going to accept? And the reality is that no reasonable person is going to accept these excuses. And the fact that all of these witnesses all get sick right at the time that they're supposed to testify is absolutely and utterly ludicrous. All right, Suleiman Karim, I don't believe he's sick. Feroz Khan, okay, I don't know if he's been shot. I wasn't there. I haven't seen any footage. There are many people that are speculating that he wasn't. And the thing is, the way things get covered up in South Africa today, I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't.
Yeah.
But they tried to kill him. Where do people that are getting killed, that can give evidence, survive? They get killed.
Yeah.
Especially if they're rich guys, if the guys after them are rich guys, because at the end of the day, they're able to hire top-class hitmen.
Yeah.
And then obviously Advocate Johnson. It's frustrating. And I'm trying to remember who's the other one. There's that white guy. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's having panic attacks. So because he's having panic attacks, he cannot testify. Now, when I was young, there's no ways that you could avoid writing the exam because you're having panic attacks. There's no ways that you could avoid testifying in a court
Yeah.
of law because you're having panic attacks.
Yeah.
On top of that, Feroz Khan was appearing because Feroz Khan, remember, is out on bail. So his case came up for hearing this week as well. And the magistrate ordered and said, okay, he's in hospital, because that's what his lawyer said. So the magistrate said, that's fine, but I'm issuing a warrant of arrest. And what we're doing is we're going to put the warrant on hold. So there is a warrant. But if it doesn't appear on the 2nd of September, then that warrant will be enforced. So that magistrate is not taking, this nonsense. And I mean, obviously Matthew Chaskelson, who was leading the evidence against Suleiman Karim, spoke about that they're working to obtain CCTV footage proving that Mr. Karim was there.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've already got 2 eyewitnesses, and there's another source.
Yeah.
The eyewitnesses that came forward as people that saw him there, they were just corroborating evidence that someone else had given them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the same with Andrea Johnson, the head of IDAC. When you look at the evidence that was given, I think it was on Tuesday, by General Padiachi, who was the investigator on the case that led to General Kumalu and a number of other guys from crime intelligence being arrested. Giggs, you should have seen this documentation. The affidavit was signed wrong.
My affidavit, I, the undersigned Brian Padiachi, hereby make an oath and state the facts to which I depose herein are within my knowledge, true and correct. I'm an adult male employed at the National Prosecuting Authority as a senior investigator assigned to the Investigating Directorate Against Corruption, IDAC. I'm a retired colonel of the South African SAPS. I've served the SAPS for 38 and a half years. I attained the bulk of my service and experience in the SAPS and within the Divisional Crime Intelligence. I was headhunted and thereafter appointed as a senior investigator in October 2021 on contract by the former investigating director, Advocate Hermine Cronier, who was the head of the investigating directorate at that time. The IDAC was located in the NPA. During this period, I was designated in terms of Section 28 of the NPA Act and actively involved in what is known as state capture investigations. I attended several workshops on financial investigations, money laundering, tender fraud, FATF, cybercrime held by the NPA, IDAC, and Association of Accredited Fraud Examiners. The ID, as a result of the NPA Amendment Act, became the Investigative Directorate Against Corruption, a permanent unit within the NPA. I was appointed to a position referred to above by the President Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa on the 1st March 2022. The appointment was made in terms of Section 13(1)(b) of the National Prosecuting Authority Act. In February 2025, I was appointed permanently in the IDAC as a senior criminal investigator. I deposed to this affidavit in response to a notice issued in terms of Rule 3 of the Rules of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into Criminality, Political Interference and Corruption in the Criminal Justice System, arising from the allegations made public by Lieutenant General Mkonazi, the Provincial Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal, on the 6th of July 2025. The notice requires me to deal with the following issues on which Lieutenant General Mkonazi testified. First, I was appointed to a senior position within IDAC despite lacking the required skills, experience, and qualifications. I have used my role to influence and control investigative outcomes, court proceedings, in particular the criminal charges against Lieutenant General Kumalo and his co-accused as related to the employment of Brigadier Mokwele. I deal with the issues identified above later in this affidavit. Before I do so, there are various issues I need to...
Okay, the affidavit at one point, where it talks about that the contents of the statement, as far as you're aware, are true. Instead of using he, it used the word she.
Sure.
Now, I know for a fact in a court of law, that affidavit is invalid.
Yeah.
Right there, it's invalid. Because, the whole transgender thing doesn't exist in court
Yes.
when it comes to an affidavit.
Yeah.
The wrong people signed it, and they stamped it with the wrong stamps, and all sorts of things like that. And then the original document, which actually says, these are the crimes that are alleged. This is what you must go and investigate. The guy who was leading the investigation, Brian Padiachi, says he's never seen that document. I think it's called a Section 22 or something document. He's never seen that document. So his testament was very damning. And if it's damning for him, it's damning for Andrea Johnson. That is his boss.
Mm.
And so I have every reason to believe that she's got very good reason to be in the Madlanga Ward and not to be testifying in front of the commission. I'm talking about legal reasons, not physical ailment reasons.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying she's not sick,
Mm.
but it's one hell of a coincidence, eh? And people are more and more, they're talking about the Madlanga Ward. Justice Madlanga needs to do something about this.
Mm.
The average person's not going to accept that people just delay justice like this.
And then we've got Mr. Matlala himself,
Yes.
who was originally, he was subpoenaed to appear before the commission on the 7th of July. And then his appearance was postponed to the 15th of July. And his legal team had now submitted an affidavit requesting further postponement of his hearing. And the arguments by the team is that they're speaking on the protection of constitutional rights, and they argue that Mr. Madlanga has the constitutional right to remain silent, avoid self-incrimination, be presumed innocent until proven guilty, and receive a fair criminal trial. They believe forcing him to testify before the commission could prejudice his defense.
You mean before his trial?
Yes.
Which I think is Monday.
Yes.
His trial starts Monday.
His defense in the upcoming criminal proceedings. Also that there's an overlap between commission and criminal trial. They argue that many issues the commission wishes to investigate overlap directly with the criminal case. Statements made before the commission could later be used against him, and that some evidence relied upon by previous witnesses is disputed and will be challenged during the criminal trial. They therefore argue that it is inappropriate for him to testify before the trial has concluded, and that the next thing that they're arguing is that a major portion of the discussion concerns a previous plea agreement, Section 105A, that ultimately collapsed. New legal representatives were appointed after the process ended, and the council argues that they require notes, recordings, negotiations, supporting documentation from the abandoned plea negotiation before properly advising Mr. Matlala. They also argue that recordings relied upon by previous witnesses were disclosed very late, and that they had limited access to Mr. Matlala because he was incarcerated. Their client has not yet listened to all the recordings, and this has delayed preparation for an accurate statement. They also repeatedly emphasized that they cannot permit their client to dispose to an affidavit unless they are satisfied it is accurate, and they wish to avoid perjury, inconsistent statements, and prejudice to their client's defense. And these are some of the questions that were raised by the commissioners. So the commissioners challenged almost every aspect of the postponement request. They challenged and asked, can some of the questions be answered now? The chair repeatedly asked, even if some questions may engage Mr. Madlanga's constitutional rights, are there not many questions that have nothing to do with self-incrimination? And some of the examples included identifying people he knows, confirming basic facts, and responding to non-contentious matters. The commissioners argued that there is no reason that these questions cannot be answered before the trial. And then they also expressed concern that the defense appears to be arguing that virtually nothing can be answered before trial. And they repeatedly seek clarification, asking whether there are any issues that could safely be addressed immediately, like I mentioned. And then with regards to the plea negotiation documents, the commissioners strongly question why documents from a plea negotiation that has already collapsed and is legally regarded as having no effect should prevent Mr. Madlanga from answering questions on his own personal knowledge. And then they're also noting the delay since the previous hearing. They note that on the 7th of July, Mr. Madlanga's legal team agreed to file a statement. The affidavit supporting the postponement contains no significant new developments after that date, and they question why the undertakings made previously were not honored. What are your thoughts on this whole situation?
They postponed the case, I think, to the 1st of September. Again, frustrating because everyone was waiting for this testimony.
Yeah.
So, again, that's frustrating. In terms of Kat Matlala's lawyer, she spoke about the fact that he could incriminate himself for the trial on Monday. Now, the trial, as you said, is a pre-sentencing trial because he pled guilty. So the trial is about sentencing. What sentence is he going to receive for the crime? Because he's already guilty of it.
Yeah.
So because he's entered a plea of guilty, that within the laws of a court system means that effectively he has been proved guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. So that they're concerned, the lawyers expressed concern that when he testifies on Monday, that when he goes to trial on Monday, stuff that he said on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, could be used against him in the sentencing trial, and could render him liable for a greater sentence than what he's already going to get. So there is some merit in that argument, I will admit. And the plea agreement you spoke about. So basically, IDAC and Kat Matlala's lawyers, they approached the court to say, we've come to a plea agreement. He'll get 12 years, but then what will happen is he'll give us all the information on all the other kingpins so that we can take them to trial, and he's getting a reduced sentence, in return for giving all of this information, on condition that he gives the information that the lawyers are looking for, and that will enable the state's lawyers to make an arrest. The magistrate, I think the deal was that Kat Matlala would get 8 years imprisonment. And effectively, with the parole rules as they work in South Africa, it'd be out after 3 years. So he agreed to go to jail for 3 years.
Yeah.
All right. That based on good behavior, then he'd be released from prison and go on parole after 3 years. Now, the reality in terms of that is that, for what he did, that is a very lenient crime, and so a very lenient sentence. And so the magistrate rejected the plea. And so now they have to renegotiate the plea. And that's why everything's up in the air. And now Kat Matlala apparently is not willing to negotiate with him. So, yeah. On the one hand, you can say, maybe he's prejudicing his rights in the trial. But on the other hand, I think what the average person is going to say, so what? So what? At least he's not in the Madlanga Ward. He's in a jail cell. So he can't pretend to be sick. But all of these guys are postponing their testimony. And they're using whatever trick is at their disposal with a huge amount of legal representation. They're using every trick in the book to avoid testifying. This is all straightened out legal, and justice. The delaying of justice. Yeah. And so the average person is going to find this very, very frustrating. And the person has a right to remain silent and all of that, and they've got certain rights, and the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. Yeah. But the rest of the population also has rights. Yeah. And what's going on here is frustrating anyone who's watching the Madlanga Commission. Yeah.
And I think when you look at the main public reaction, you actually see this, where there's a growing frustration on the repeated delays, where they believe that the Madlanga Commission is being slowed down by all of these postponements, person going to hospital. Obviously, like you mentioned, we don't, if someone is really ill or someone's gone shot and things like that, it's something to, really consider. But then now every single major case or major appearance in terms of this case, the person is being rushed to hospital, or you need to postpone for a reason or whatever, it builds this frustration in terms of the answers that many South Africans are wanting to receive regards this. And then a lot of them, when we're again looking at the public sentiment and stuff, support the Commission's tough approach. A significant portion of public believes that the commissioners are handling proceedings professionally, and Justice Madlanga in particular has received praise for asking direct questions, holding witnesses and legal representatives accountable, and refusing to accept broad legal arguments without supporting evidence. And that's obviously because people want answers. And this commission has been going on for quite some time now, and sometimes it feels like they're going in circles in terms of moving forward and things like that. And people are growing frustrated at the fact that things are being postponed and delayed and stuff. Yeah, so that's the overall public mood and sentiment when it comes to the Madlanga Commission and all the postponements that have been happening. And then when we read in Amos chapter 5 verse 24, it says, "But let justice roll like a river, righteousness like a never-failing stream."
Yeah, let justice roll like a river and righteousness like a never-ending stream. There's a saying, justice delayed is justice denied. And South Africans, by and large, do not hold the amount of money that is required to be able to walk into something like the Madlanga Commission with 5 or 6 advocates. All right. Most South Africans do not have the means to be able to afford that kind of law or legal representation. And so then they see these rich guys, because let's be honest, all these people that are appearing are all rich people. They see these rich guys appearing before the commission, and they've got their nice advocates, and they've got this and they've got that. And then what happens? They get away with things like intentionally postponing a case and stuff like that. So, Justice Madlanga, we support you, and we would like you to act like that magistrate in the Feroz Khan trial did, and to say you will be before the commission on such and such a date, or we will be issuing an arrest warrant. And as far as I know, the Madlanga Commission has been granted the power by the terms that President Ramaphosa set with it. They actually have the power to effect those orders. And so, therefore, please note, wherever you're in a position to help bring justice, please remember this. Justice delayed is justice denied.
Yes. This has been an amazing show. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm your girl Cynthia, but you can call me Gix. And with me in studio we've had
Gavin Enston.
Pastor Gavin Enston, right here on The Political Show on Active FM, where radio has never been better and Christ politics is
Hot politics.
Hot politics.
This is The Political Show.
Instead of using he, it used the word she. These guys are taking us for fools.
Madlanga Ward.
The wrong people signed it, and they stamped it with the wrong stamps. But all of these guys are postponing their testimony. And they're using whatever trick is at their disposal with a huge amount of legal representation. They're using every trick in the book to avoid testifying.